Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and I'm checking in with you on this chilly morning. It's early. Well, I usually get up a lot earlier than this for the 5 a.m. workout. So this early day, I wanted to come in and have a chit chat about moisturizing dry hair. Right, so my hair texture is one that is naturally drier, fine. It's very fine. It's kinky, cottony, Afro textured hair, and I just started moisturizing it just now. So, what we're moisturizing with is what I have pulled from my little yard garden. So, if you're interested in finding some weightless ways to um, consider moisturizing your hair, and this is oil free, then stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body-Culinary professional chef, personal trainer, a natural born woman. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is. And on this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self acceptance. And what that looks like for me is celebrating, appreciating, and exploring all the possibilities of the unique features and DNA marker that I have been divinely assigned, right? Seeing what my hair can do and how I can appreciate, accentuate, and be creative with my own features. It's definitely stress free, a lot less stressful. That's the goal. That's really important to me. It's a core value, ease and relaxation. What I also share on this journey of radical self acceptance are, and I love to encourage, are three lifestyle practices. I like to call them leverage lifestyle practices. And lifestyle practices that you have access to, leverage because they give you something distinct and tangible. They give you something back for the very valuable investment of your time, your attention, which is really a valuable form of currency. You can't get your attention or you can't get your time back, right? You can't get your time back. And I'm very clear that it's not just your time, the half an hour or the hours that are spent, we could say lost sometimes in the sphere of the internets. And I would say lost if you're not getting anything back. Only you can assess that. So three leverage lifestyle practices that give you something back for your time are, and they may seem so simple, they may seem overly simple, but when I tell you, these lifestyle practices will serve you until your hair is white and until you are wrinkled, because gravity is coming for us all. Whatever kinds of alterations we can do to our body, gravity is coming for us all. So they are peaceful consumption. And rather than just get hooked on a label, it's consumption practices. Some people say eating. I invite you to consider your consumption practices. Consumption practices that are peaceful to your body, that don't leave a lot of damage, that are minimal in terms of damage, that are easy to digest, easy to assimilate, that your cells, for repair and regeneration, that your cells can recognize. So food that loves you back, that demonstrates that it loves you back, and that's beyond just the party in your mouth. So peaceful consumption, food that is kind and loving and helpful to your brain, your arteries, your colon, your liver. I know the organs don't get a lot of play, and that are, yeah, they enhance your immune system and your mood. Peaceful consumption, garden therapy. I encourage you all to start a garden. It has so many benefits that I can't even name here. There's food sovereignty, but there's also, similar to the other two practices, it's so deeply therapeutic, so relaxing. There's some elements that are challenging, yet the garden, I tell you, is going to give you something back. And we can look on YouTube and we can see into other people's gardens, yet there is something that is nuanced and that is experiential about starting your own garden. It's something for you. And And the coaching that we do, well, we have coaching on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those that are interested in taking on whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods, and a personal movement practice, cultivating or reactivating one. We talk about that on Sundays, and also every morning at 5 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. There's a huge coaching component to our fitness, because it's really about a mindset. It's a mindset. Many of us may not have cultivated a mindset of fitness. So then it's very easy when we're going through stress, or when we're figuring out our spending plan, to kick our movement practice to the curb. It's the first thing to go. Where I would say, and it's my has been my experience that has served me, not necessarily the truth, but this has been consistent. It is my mindset. If I go anywhere on the planet, I can eat healthfully with a minimal spending plan, and I will always have a space for play and for movement, because it is a core value. It is so important. It's great to look cute. It's great to know that I'm preserving my body and I'm eating well. However, there are just certain things I have found that are tried and true. And as my godmother said to me, never leave your spiritual practices. And spirituality for me is very practical. I know there are a lot of buzzwords and catchphrases today, though taking care of the inside of me that makes me feel good, that's very, very subtle, right? I like to dial into and observe my internal dialogue, and how my dialogue is making me feel, and how my dialogue is a reflection of what I'm experiencing. So there are a lot of nuances that are connected to, and a lot of people into health and fitness. Most people, especially women, desire weight loss. I like to make distinctions so that we can get to the root. I like to get to the root of whatever the issue is, because if you can't effectively see or assess a problem or issue, it is not likely that you'll be effective at finding a sustainable solution. Yeah. So, in that sense, my movement practice makes me feel better. Before I could really articulate it well. That was something that I figured out as a young woman. Wow, this is something that I do that's empowering. I never considered myself uh, a fitness person or an athlete. I know I like to dance. I was never a drinker or a smoker. But the way it makes me feel, I move because of the way it makes me feel. And I think it's so interesting. I would even say that it's alarming how much, well, our attention is like that is being extracted. This is how I think in pictures. Our attention is like being pulled and extracted. It's so loud. We're overstimulated, and so we're encouraged to go outward this way, this way, this way, and we pedestalize gurus and religious figures, and somehow we don't feel like we have access to peace on our own without something outside of ourselves. I don't know. That narrative I find a bit disempowering. I always know, and it's a core value, I need to know what it is I can do on a consistent basis that I have access to make myself feel better, emotionally, mentally. If I'm ever in any kind of pain relief. I've worked around lots of massage therapists, colon therapists, all kinds of body workers for many, many years. So I know that pain will likely be in the trajectory at some point. We'll all experience a toothache or some kind of a injury. But also, when I'm looking at clients in the fitness and personal training realm for many, many years, and the different demographics, the high end gyms all have physical therapy offices inside the same building. And a lot of the corporate clientele usually have had some kind of a surgery or an injury. So they may not be an underwear model, yet they're very cognizant of longevity and being pain free. So that is upfront a value for them, and they're willing to invest and pay for that. Culturally, and I don't think it's right or wrong, but I do get when we're so preoccupied, not preoccupied, when the reality in your face is survival mode, you may not be as prone to thinking long term because you want immediate solutions. You want to feel good now, especially with the amount of stress and triggeration. That's my own little world where in a sea, I would say, of triggeration that affects us deeply. So we have garden therapy, peaceful consumption, and your personal movement practice. Those are three leveraged lifestyle practices. And I want to encourage you, they are what you have access to on an individual basis, wherever your living situation is. So every gym I've gone to, places of employment, traveling to numerous countries, uh, different kinds of environments, different home setting, size of homes. I always have a food preparation setup where I can make beautiful food and I can play with my food. I always have a play and movement area, right? That's more important to me than a lot of bulky furniture. I will always have plants and always have access to sunlight. These are core values for me that I know make me feel better on a regular basis. I always have fitness toys and fitness equipment. I have and now I would say, well, this has been for some years now. I've expanded on it. I always have a garden. So these are lifestyle practices that even when this whole so-called so-and-so demic was going on, I know when I closed the gate, I have my play area. I have my garden. I have loads of seeds. I have lots of things stocked up, so I didn't have to go crazy with buying things. Um, should things shut down? That has been a standard actually of mine for years. So, lifestyle practices, they can really serve you and give you, and you can cultivate a foundation of calm. So, something else really huge. So, as we're chit chatting, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Feel free to comment respectfully and subscribe if you like this kind of content. What I am moisturizing my hair with is aloe juice. So, there's aloe gel, there's aloe juice. People make all kinds of concoctions. I don't have any products in my hair, anything store bought. I haven't washed my hair per se with shampoo. I do have one, but I don't use it as much. I use mostly teas and rinses with the plants from the garden. And I do share some of that on what do you call that thing? Instagram, Body Culinary Instagram, and also Kwasa with a K, peaceful, like full belly, eating on Kwasapeacefull eating on TikTok. So those are platforms I share. So anywho, I've got loads of aloe. I don't have to buy any aloe. And I started from a little teeny piece of aloe, and I've got hundreds of aloe. So that is part of my vision with Afro flower and Afro flowernomics or a flower to be able to luxuriate with the things that you are growing and cultivating inside of your own little yard. And if some of your friends take that on, then you have some things to trade back and forth. I think it's really, again, a lovely aspect of life. It's something I watched my grandma do with chopping up Bijan seasoning and jarring it, homemade jerk seasoning, and sending it to Smiley down the road, an older woman, and send it to this person, send it to my mother. So I watched that with the eyes of a child. So many of those principles I refer to quite often to my grandma Lou, most bomb human being ever, and also to my godparents. All right, so my grandmother's big on her bush tea and her aloes and everything like that. So I pulled some, I think I pulled 3 or 4 large aloe leaves, and I made a juice of it. So I don't have any of the Caribbean lime in this one, and I had enough for 2 bottles. So I'll put them in a little squeeze bottle, and this is what I'm moisturizing my hair with. So my hair is very, very fine. And from time to time, I don't want to say I play in my hair a lot, but sometimes I do just stroke it, and it's really um, relaxing and refreshing just to put my hair in the root. So that's one of the beautiful things that you can experience with your own hair. I invite you to try it on. Just to put your hair in your own scalp. There were so many years where you couldn't play in your own hair because you're afraid of messing up the style or afraid of sweating the hair out or concerned about dandruff. I don't have any issues with dandruff, itching, and I'm not putting any oil. So I do eat whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods. That has been my lifestyle for many years. So I feel confident between I have a regular movement practice, which that gets a lot of circulation. So I'm circulating, excuse me, plant. I'm circulating a lot of the nutrients that I'm eating throughout my system. I eat a lot of high water content food. So the food I've taken off the table, right? Because I know I'm eating the best that I can eat. I don't eat processed foods, which I'm so grateful for. I'm amazed. So when I'm feeling my hair, it feels normalized and it just feels soft. It feels soft and springy. So I like to say, like, sometimes I think and I smile to myself, this is the hair that I always wanted. This is the hair that I always wanted. I'm thinking I'm not touching the part so that can grow out. You can see now the hair does grow away from the lock, but I put some aloe juice on it, go like that. It's like it's not complicated. I will also say, whatever the porosity of my hair, I get confused if it's high, low, or mixture. When I do put moisturizer on it, and so this is not as it's like a water-based product, but it's not a product. It's just the aloe juice. It has a teeny little bit of slip. It's not really viscous. It's so light, so you can see water sits on top of my hair, whichever porosity that is, right? So maybe that's low porosity, but after I smooth it for a while, it goes right into the hair, right? And it feels good. I don't really put anything on my scalp. I just don't. I think it's so amazing. And maybe perhaps it depends on how you're styling your hair. So when we think of just so much stuff is removed off the table, when we think of protective styling, especially if you have fine, delicate hair. My hair does not like to be handled. It does not like to be pulled. It never liked it. It showed me and communicated numerous times because your body's communicating with you all the time. Leave me alone. I'm not interested in being bothered. So it's flourishing and just growing on its own because I'm leaving it alone. And some of the recent, or maybe one of the last couple of videos I did, you can see I put some pictures of when my hair first started out. It was double strand twist and it started to lock while I was traveling. I did not want it to lock because my hair is so fine. I will put it in double strand twists because cornrows, my scalp, even with the best braider, my scalp being exposed with the hair pulled tight and those parts exposed, my hair would start to itch profusely within a matter of days. So that didn't work. So the double strand twists were looser and my scalp could relax. I felt a big difference. I tried that maybe like I can't even count how many times. So I'm just very, very clear that that wasn't kicking it. So now I have even less pulling. Now that it's matured and I've been trimming it. So I'm not trying to make it super even, but now these were big fluffy locks and I only have about 30, 31 locks. Once they matured, so maybe this might be helpful to you. This is what it looked like when they got compact. So I don't twist my hair at all, at all. Again, that's a lot that I don't have to worry about. And I'm really big on ease and relaxation. But also, I can see what my hair looks like. So, as someone with very fine hair, maybe this is one of the chunkiest, roundest locks I have, but pretty much all my locks are super duper flat, like super flat. So, when people think this is like pancake, look how flat that is. So, now that it's matured, I can see what it looks like. And similar to what I say with food and fitness, for those folks that may perhaps be considering and endeavoring on um, prioritizing a lifestyle of ease and relaxation and health, the ease and the relaxation, a lot of that is from, I have found, taking a lot of things that are unnecessary off the table. It's not about being cheap, but it's really about prioritize. You only have so many hours in the day, and you have so much economics that you need to move around effectively, right? So I like to move and decide where I'm going to spend my energy. And although I like sister locks, I love sister locks. I just mentally could never see myself sitting in a chair that long. One of my dearest friends did the most beautiful sister locks that I have ever seen. Her standard was, but I'm not going to do that. I prioritize my yoga practice, the garden, that is a priority. It doesn't mean I'm gonna look like a bum. But I also do like the carefreeness of being able to have like a lioness mane, which to me is absolutely amazing. That I always wanted, like the freedom of just like natural beauty. And beauty, that's a loaded word because I'll take confidence in health over someone's made up moving goalposts of beauty. And I say that because it's subject to change by the whims of whoever's sitting in these corporate offices deciding which way the trends are going to go. And it's too fickle for me. It doesn't take me totally into consideration. So we are all at our most attractive when we are healthy, right? So I need things that, that's sustainable. That's sane, right? Because I think a lot of us are losing our sanity, and all of this stuff that is being, these messages that are being pumped to us, that are being carefully crafted messaging to trigger emotional, mental responses, to trigger you to certain actions. It's a bit much for me. I need the simplicity. So the hair will grow away. I don't use any dyes. If my hair is already delicate, if I had severe scalp burns with perms because my hair wouldn't take, then that sets me in if pretty much the majority. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that the dyes haven't damaged their hair. So I'm not doing that. That's like, why make myself go bald? I'm just grateful that my eyebrows have recovered from tweezing, that I have some natural eyebrows left. I think perhaps my eyes, or I've retrained my eyes to a certain point. Now, let me say, I'm not anti makeup or dressing up or fashion. I can appreciate looking at it. However, I like feeling comfortable in my skin. And I never preferred when I take something off and if I notice I don't feel good about myself, that to me is a red flag. So I notice I can pass the mirror and I'll have a spontaneous smile at myself and I like myself. I like the way I look. The body gets wear and tear. Um, I understand that I'm going to age. My breasts, as someone that has fed a human being from my breasts, they're not going to be the same as they were at 20. My main priority is that I really like to keep my natural body parts. So my priority is that my natural breast and mammary glands stay growth and tumor free. And so the stress, a big part of my lifestyle, because there's still stresses coming from all different directions, is removing a lot of the unnecessary off the table gives me space for ease. So I have space for movement practice. I feel confident eating healthy. I don't have to make the decision again to start a whole big fast or, still sometimes you can overeat even with living foods. But there's certain decisions I don't have to make because I'm crystal clear about the results of certain lifestyle practices. So this is what I wanted in terms not just the look, but I don't have to now. My hair feels great if I put a scarf on, but I don't have to put a scarf. I don't have to worry about the rain. I don't have to worry about parts. I like beads and stuff, but I just like my own hair. I'm not overly concerned with makeup, and I don't want to be. Again, I can appreciate, I like it. Maybe one day you're gonna see me totally flip out on here, come here with full makeup. But if I get called to go on a canoe or going to the waterfalls, and it's 100 degrees outside, and I'm playing in the dirt, I'm giving myself permission to allow my body, it's going to experience wear and tear. And I prioritize caring for my one and only body temple in my brain. If you're trying to share something with me, a treat that's going to compromise my motor skills or damage my lung, then I'm looking at you sideways. And I like to eat, but certain things are not worth it. The pain, the mastectomies, the amputations, it's not worth it. And I'm not a saint, though I figured out ways to enjoy myself and enjoy my food without dieting and to enjoy my hair and to enjoy my body temple. It is going to age. I think it is absolutely amazing that as creatures we have taken on, we're allowing, a lot of it we may not be conscious of, we're allowing our choices and what we desire to be manipulated. It's like, I don't know, it feels off to me. So in any event, it's the aloe juice I'm moisturizing my hair with. Because it's a juice, it has a teeny amount of slip. I would definitely say I do think I keep a spray bottle with water. I have a water filter. If I'll be honest, sometimes if I'm rushing, I won't use a filter, but for the most part, I make an effort to use filtered water. But now I'm like, okay, And I've mentioned Yanni, the lock eyelashes. I really like Yanni. I can look at all kinds of folks, even folks that do perms, makeup, and I can learn something from everyone. But she makes a distinction about, yeah, this has a little bit of slip. Doesn't have that gelatinous, that mucilage, but it has a teeny amount of slip, and it feels very hydrating on my hair. So this does feel different than regular water, tap water, definitely, because it's a lot of metals inside the water, and definitely even the filtered water. It has like a nice, normalized, soft feel. So I feel like it's an epiphany. Wow, I'm always like, I never needed that stuff. I never needed all of that stuff. So all I do is I smooth it onto my hair. That's it. And I find because the hair feels normalized, I don't have any buildup. So I remember for years, there's all of these channels. Some YouTubers, I really like their channels. And when I was, the few people I would see where we have similar hair texture, where you see how this sits on top before it goes in. Well, we have a tendency to get buildup very easily. So if my hair was still in double strand twists, I would use I use shea butter. I use some coconut oil and olive oil. Those are things that were in my house, just all natural products. I threw out my shower caddy years ago. I'm never bringing that sucker back. I'm just not a priority. So I would have a lot of buildup, but also it felt really great once I got that mixture of aloe and shea butter or whatever my concoctions I was making, and it coated my hair. That was fine when it was loose, but with locks, that's buildup. So you can get buildup from shampoos. Definitely the cheaper shampoos, that all the tutti frutti stuff at the discount store will strip your hair. That is something very distinct that I noticed, that the cheaper shampoos, they will strip your hair, especially if you have fine hair. I think what is a little different here is with the no oil. I think a huge distinction with this Freedom Hair Afro locks, as I'm calling it. Anybody's free to lock their hair, child, work it out. But Afro textured hair and fine hair, it has its own characteristics. It's the fluff. It's, what did I say? It's the this or that for me. It's the fluffiness for me. It's the fluffiness for me. Like, all I have to do is smooth that in. Sometimes I'll see that our hair can have a little bit of a shine. If this was more the aloe gel, when it dries, it would more than likely flake when it dries. So it dries quickly. When I wash it, it dries quickly. And it's just like, it feels like soft cotton. Oh my gosh. This is such a relief. My hair is flat. I'm not sweating it. It's springy. It's this reddish color. It'll be gray at some point. I don't have any makeup on because I'm enjoying sitting in the rest and the peace that is my skin. And for me, just to allow myself to be seen first and foremost by me, to stand on my own little square, that is the ease and relaxation. I think that is something today to be cultivated, almost, not almost, but putting a protective, intentional hedge around your psyche, because a lot of the interactions on these screens is, it's bypassing our consciousness or your conscious mind, just us waking and speaking right now, but it's hitting subconscious triggers. And I think it can be very emotionally and mentally destabilizing. I do. And why would I say that? Because when I look at a lot of our self-sabotaging behaviors, it doesn't make us rotten people, but triggering a lot of just not feeling good about ourselves and depression. So I'm doing a smoothing that the hydration feels nice, the aloe juice in the back of my hair. Oh, so I will say now something else I noticed different, and also my hairline, my very fine, again, this is only about 30 locks, 30, 31. My hairline will be El Gano. It would absolutely be gone if I was still pulling it. Again, my hair is very, very delicate. I would say it's a little full. So this could look cute. You know, we like to pull stuff back. It looks cute. But that tension, we have 5 million ways that we are giving ourselves alopecia. We are giving ourselves some straight up alopecia. Donna Nelson, hi, hi sis, starting on my freeform locks. Any tips on taking care of my locks? I also eat raw Beautiful. And from my garden, health and me always come first. That's what's up. Health. Health doesn't require cults, doesn't require religions, doesn't require purchasing prosthetics that have not been tested, So I don't follow them closely. But some of these celebrities are removing their implantations, and many young women's bodies are rejecting them. You can see this all on YouTube. So now, and this is what I've known intuitively. Now, what do you do psychologically and emotionally? That the people that you are following, these fantasy people, these caricatures, now they've gone on, they've got the money, and they're getting sometimes free surgery, right? Because celebrities often get free clothing because that sells, and will get free operations, right? So they can advertise. Now that they've taken it out, now the young women that were following are stuck. So I'm like, why not embrace your original marker? So in terms of freeform, I would have to say these are semi-freeform in the sense that I like to not really mess with my hair because it is delicate. I think it's stronger, but all of that over handling is just too much. If anything, maybe I'll move my hair around from to the side. Like I look for what is very, very easy, or put two, not tendrils, right? Again, that's why I say these are Afro locks. I don't have tendrils. It's like, with the rosiness. And again, I can appreciate makeup. Chocolate women, we blush unless we're more coffee with more cream complexion. We don't turn red for the most part like that. That's just not our features. So I don't really have tendrils, right? These are probably like 7 locks and they're small. So this floats down like this. So in terms of healthy locks, I don't know. People say protective styles. When I think about this, I would call this is a restful style, right? I'm all about the rest and the relaxation. This freedom here, Afro locks, is a restful style. And it's rest not only on the from the physical manipulation of the hair, but it is a psychological, mental, and emotional rest. That's I may talk about that a lot, but I emphasize the mental and emotional rest. Give yourself a break, maybe a permanent break from, free up some of the brain from the overstimulation and the triggered anxiety from I have to fix something, I have to do something to my hair. I don't know about y'all, but I have this thing with observing my internal dialogue. And it's one of the reasons why I'm an avid early riser, at least 4 o'clock. At least 4 o'clock. It is the power hour, period. It is a time where your brain and your mind is so clear. Different things you're working on, or different issues or problems, it comes to you, the inspiration, without all the noise blaring at you in the early morning. So I can jump right into a movement practice. My hair stays fresh. I don't have any odor in my hair, even though I sweat profusely, and I like to get a vigorous sweat because it's just all aired out. It just dries, right? I don't have to do anything. So this is rest. It's physical rest from manipulation. I would say find a way to leave your hair alone. Now, I do like style and fashion combined with ease. So even when my hair was loose double strand twist, I would look for styles that complement my hair, that are cohesive with my hair. So pretty much across the board, whenever I try to mimic the nuances of a style, it never looks like what I'm watching. It never, because even with a whole bunch of pancake flat locks and 30 locks, I don't crave styling. Every now and then I used to think like, ooh, I used to see some of this. I used to love Smiley with the locks. I used to love her channel. She has long locks, and I don't know, maybe you can call it semi-freeform. But anyway, I would see some of the Rasta sisters, they would take gel, they wouldn't twist, and they would leave all of this loose, and they would slick it back. And I was like, wow, that would probably look really cute. That little pullback look. But that tension, the alopecia, I know better. I know what's coming for me. So several times people ask me what I mean when I say I retrain my eyes. I've done several experiments with myself where for years, even I wasn't a big makeup wearer, but I used to love maybe some natural lip gloss, some earth tone lipstick, and mascara. I think that was it. But I took off all my jewelry and I took everything off for me just to sit with myself because I noticed I wasn't feeling as confident when I took off the mascara. And I was like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. So I've done other things with shea butter or whatever, but just to sit with myself. So, in order when I'm styling my hair, I found ways to kind of it did little subtle nuances to, let's say, for example, my hair's growing away from the lock and it's a sandy color. Rather than trying to slick it, right? And I don't have a lot of locks. This might look different when I had more, when I had double the amount of locks. So I find ways to place my hair for my ponytails or to tuck or the hair that grows away from the lock to push it in. That's it. But this is it's restful styling. So I think for length retention, maybe if you're just starting out, you can retain if you want to experience length. I've had my hair shaved off like bald. And I could always return to that in a drop of a dime. If my hair was looking like Bozo the Clown, this stuff was coming off. I'm not holding on to it like that. So I think there are ways for you to experience length, and many of us want to have that experience, which is fine. I do like the creativity and flowers and fashion, and I'm studying actually a lot of styling now about how clothes fit the body. So this is restful, but I find ways to place the hair that is complementary. So I might put my ponytails this way rather than having a style where this pulls back because as I sweat, the kinks are always going to come back and do their thing. The tension is what's breaking the hair and it's weakening the hairline. Again, if you have fine hair, I think my hair looks full because I have embraced the afro. I have embraced sometimes this is what it's going to look like. And it's actually soft, but this is messy to some people. It might look messy or unkempt. So I find ways to embrace that and flip it, if you will. So I like I just woke up like this because I literally did with nothing. I can just, I'm not stressing anything. I have silk pillowcases. I've made some my own custom pillowcases. I give myself the full experience. But I've retrained my eyes to acceptance and radical self-acceptance of this is what it is. And I'm making it fashionable for me because this is what I've got. And I'm very intentional. I want to enjoy my body when it becomes wrinkled, when my hair turns white. I don't want to fight it. I just find it so Again, I was just watching some makeovers with my sister, somebody named Crew Cut. Oh my gosh. He does some really beautiful transformations and he cuts like shout out if any I know from Brooklyn, New York. That's my stomping ground. There was a hair cutting salon called back in the days, one of the premier Afro barbershops called Canaps. And I think it was Lester or something that owned it. And they might have had a couple of locations. But that is where you went to get your pill box, your Nefertiti cuts, like the best barbers. And then some barbers left from there to open up their own shops. But that's where you went to get your hair did with the clean clippers, good music, just nice being catered to with this, right? So this is the texture. It might look like it's unkempt to people, right? And I have to cover it because I have a tendency to get caught in the bushes when I'm out in the garden. But this is what the hair actually looks like. And I love it when I see women that with freeform locks where it's like it looks good because of it's not messy. That's the natural texture. That's the natural characteristics of the hair. So I just find ways to embrace it. So technically we can say, people panic at my hair is growing away from the lock. I'm always of the thing. I'm not doing all of that. I'm not. I'm snatching my piece back. That's the priority. So again, I find styles or way of working with my hair. So let's say if I'm looking at these ponytails that look great, right? And I exercise a lot. So if I try to slick and all that stuff, it looks like I'm trying too hard. But I find some of the most attractive styles are these messy buns. I find if I just do stuff very loosely and put it together, those are the styles that look better. But that's how my hair is gonna fall because it doesn't have a lot of locks, right? It's not super, it has a little length. It's not super long. It's not to my waist. But I just noticed the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, I think it's like to my back. I remember back in the days, the earlier hair care channels on YouTube, people would have diagrams or put a t-shirt and say, this is level 1, level 2, bra strap length, armpit length, ear length. And I don't focus on that so much. But the other day I was looking around, I was like, wow, I think my ponytail reaches back there. And I've been, cutting. There was a time where I would like try to hold on to length. And sometimes I don't have time for that. I've experimented with repairing some of my locks. And then sometimes like I don't have time for all of that. It's just not a priority. So in a nutshell, I embrace the fluff, the different characteristics, and stop trying to fit myself a square peg into a round hole, as they say. I don't like all sayings because some of them don't make you think. But just trying to make my hair do something it doesn't want to do. I'm like, what if I just, that's how I really came to this point. I was like, what would happen if I just left it alone? I've been natural for a return to natural for many years, for decades. And I've done everything natural I could with my hair. I was like, what would happen? So I was like, am I going to be looking broke down productions? My hair is already fine. And then even when I allow them to combine. And by the way, I think this is week 5 as an experiment. So if I see some, because again, my hair is very fine, as you can see down here. See how fine that is? Look at these. So now one of the great things is not having the oil. What I've seen with many people with the oil, with twisting, the bottom with the buildup makes it get heavy. So that was a concern of mine. I said, I know this is not going to have some longevity. So let me just let them combine and see what happens. So now these have a stronger base. Well, a lot of these I've been getting a natural haircut because this is so weak down at the bottom. Some I've just pulled off and then some I've trimmed. So this is a much stronger base, and the fluff, it's stronger for my hair, which is very delicate because I've allowed them combine. So one of them over here where I felt like it could use some strength, I have a very loose ponytail holder. I think this is week 5. So I said, let's see what happens, how long it would take my hair to combine. So this is loose in here. Periodically I have to take this off. This is a very loose cloth ponytail holder, and it's been 5 weeks. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just washing it. So I can see, look, it's pretty much matted. Actually very easy. That's no stress. That's what's up for me. So this is 5 weeks. So all I did was put a loose ponytail holder on here because if you put it too tight or you put tight rubber bands, I've experienced the hot sun. And also when I used to put coconut oil in my hair, the rubber bands would melt into my hair. Oh my gosh. I can't stand the feeling of stuff being caught in my hair and I can't get it out. That is torturous. So this is week 5. So, if anybody has questions, how long will it take my hair to lock? And I think there are definitely different things. Let's say if you're starting out, if your hair is shorter, that I would do to style my hair. Definitely, I can see exactly how I would style my hair. I think you have more options when your hair is actually shorter. But yeah, if I was doing this all over, as I've mentioned before, I would do loose double strand twists, or I can see other ways I would even work around that. So I think maybe I'll compile it into a little ebook. And some of the creatives, I found some creative ways to work with my own textured hair. It's like an epiphany. I feel free. So that's why I call it Afro hair freedom locks. And then also I still have a tremendous amount of acne. So this is restful styling. I'm not pulling. What is that? A piece of lint? Maybe I should sleep on my pillowcase. Yeah, so I'm not pulling. I'm not twisting. I don't have a bunch of tight rubber bands, which would put indentations here. I don't have any oil. Barely any shampoo. I've made my own soap. I do not use, I have a list. When I do use shampoo, I do not use the cheap shampoos. I use a really good quality shampoo that's diluted so that it doesn't strip my delicate cottony hair. So I'm free. I don't really have to think about it. Other days, sometimes I would just, when it's really hot or if I felt really stressed, I can have a tendency to just go in underneath the water. And I like the feeling of water running down on my scalp. So my hair will dry very quickly. But that's just very therapeutic feeling. And even when I feel to do that now, it's like I don't need to. It's getting chillier. Thus, I have the sweatshirt on. It's getting chillier, so I don't need to do that. But I find I can just moisturize my hair and massage it. I can do a great massage because I don't have a whole bunch of oil inside of my scalp. So I can give my scalp a little bit of massage. And then I also have, I'm eating all that good living foods. and I have movement. That's it. Like, to me, I'm just shocked. I wanted a line that's, man, I really love Valerie Jr. Like, that is the hair. One of my clients, I remember, I was like, that's what I want. She was like, I think your hair needs, you're gonna have to moisturize it, you know. She didn't mean anything by it, but again, sometimes what we envision for ourselves, people may not be able to see what you envision for yourself. Many years ago, when I wanted to cut one of my last things, so I had a Jerry curl and a gold tooth, so I ain't got no judgment for nobody, whatever makeup and hair you want to do. So I wanted to, one of my very fashion forward friends, I had two friends in high school that were very, very fashion forward. And one came to school with these Senegalese twists. I had never seen that before. I was like, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Like, I had a curly perm, trying to make it look curly. I wanted my hair to look soft and curly. This is my natural texture. That's too much work. But anyway, she gave me the phone number of this African sister named Hadi. Hopefully maybe she's still doing hair out in Queens. And I was like, this is it. This is the bomb. This is the bomb. I felt so luxurious in those Senegalese twists. And it wasn't so tight like braids. Though when I took them out, you know, I had the curly perm. I wouldn't wear it like the greasy, you know, no offense to Michael Jackson, but that style with the soul glow. I would use it to kind of make myself look like I had a big kind of Diana Ross hair and I had a big afro. But then I was like, this is too much. I want to cut this off. I remember my boyfriend at the time, he said, no, if you cut your hair, I'm going to leave you. Ain't that something? If you cut your hair, I'm going to leave you. He might even be peeking at this channel. Because he said, you still look beautiful. Thank you. But anyway, yes, I remember I was like, I want to cut my hair. And he was like, no, don't cut your hair. And just like my grandpa, and they were like, yeah, woman's hair is a glory. Even my hair was short. My hair is my glory. I just want to experience it shorter because I saw a Dahomey princess and I saw this voluptuous black model back in the day with her hair short. And I took one look. I said, I want that. You ever experienced that? I want that. Ooh, I want that. And so my first boyfriend, he was not in support of that. He thought I should just have long, curly. Did my hair look curly to you? This is kinky cotton. But anywho, that was it back in the days, back in the 80s. So one of my other fashion forward friends used to go to Cashapp to get her hair cut with the most. She's a fly girl, still is today. In fitness, fly, still to this day. And she said, I'll go with you. Come on, I'll go with you to cut it off. So she went with me and she went with her barber, and he's still a master barber to this day. Master barber. He can give some haircuts. So anyway, I went in and I had this big afro, and folks are looking at like, wow, I had a gorgeous afro. Is she gonna let this guy cut all her hair off? And I was like, do it. And after he took the first big chunk, take it off. And I walked out of there the most stunning rounded cut. Do I have pictures of that? So a couple people have asked me, and there's a certain book that I'm in. And probably people might even recognize that it's me, but the old Sacred Woman. The original book, if you look in there, you can see that was me with my first haircut. I had a little rounded fade. And then the next week I went back and I cut all of that off. I was like, I want the next week I was back and I cut it off, and it felt like taking a shower. Every 10 seconds I would just cut my hair off. Then I would cut designs into it. I never felt so exquisitely beautiful. I was like, I'm never going back. Ever. I was like, this is the best kept secret. My hair is the bomb. Like, even though my brother was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you cutting your hair? And I was like, y'all don't see this? I went back. I couldn't stop cheesing and smiling at myself. I was like, my hair is gorgeous. I feel gorgeous. My features, my earrings. Then I've done every kind of double strand, twist, cornrow. It's been the most fun. With the exception of one time braids that were too tight, damaged my hair. So I came home from a trip and I just took the scissors and I cut that out because the pain, I can't do pain. Like, I have blisters in my scalp and I was telling a woman it's too tight. She's no, it's okay, sis. It's okay, sis. Yeah, we don't do the too tight braids. My ears singed from the hot combs, and the scalp burns with the scabs were plastered to my scalp. That was trauma. So the goal is not to traumatize myself, right? So that I can look good to who for what. We're not doing that. Greetings. Hey, greetings, Sonia. Yeah, so I'm just really enjoying. I never knew. I feel like, wow, who knew? This is carefree. I could always cut it off, but I'm gonna experience the length. I'm going along for the ride to see what my hair can do. And I like the feeling. It's got a little bit of swing. As somebody that has very, very fine hair, I can recognize there were times where, when I was still using oils in my hair, where I like the feeling of the oil. And I don't know if any of you out here have fine hair, if you can relate. I wanted the oil and the shea butter. It made me feel like I had weight to my hair, or my hair is very light and wispy colored. And so with fine hair, it can look like dry, brittle. So when I would coat it with the shea butter and water, they used to call it water oil, the lotion oil, shea butter, something like that, whatever that combination is, it made my hair feel coated, and it made it, I felt like I had weight to my hair. It's hard for me to feel weight with my hair because it's fine. It's not, it's only so many follicles, and it's very, very delicate. So I like the feeling of the weight. So there's several things, nuances with this. I'm calling it freedom hair, Afro locks. It's several nuances that I think are emotional and psychological, and they really go to the root of. I go a lot to the root of how what I'm feeling is driving my food choices, is driving my choice, my consumption pattern choices, who I'm choosing to relate to, what I expose myself to, what kinds of treatment I allow. So I have a tendency to observe my internal dialogue. And sometimes you got to get quiet, introspective from the inside. So I'm paying attention to if my own dialogue was like, "Ooh, girl, you need to fix that." Right? You got to catch it. So somebody got to be quiet because that's not from other people. We have an internal dialogue that's going on within us all the time. Let me know in the comments if you can relate. So it's like when some people will say, um, "I wish I could go without wake makeup. I can never do that." And I was like, wow. Or I wish I can do something. I wish I could try. You can do whatever you want to do. So the question is, if it's not, if somebody's reflecting something back to you uh, that you would like to experience, because we're all this life cycle as we know, we're going to take off this human suit called the body. Then in your quiet moments, without beating up on yourself, which usually it's going to make you feel bad, which leads to you self medicating. But if we can have a healthy curiosity around, well, why can't I try that? Right? There are usually these fears, and I've mentioned that on this channel, the basic 6 and 5 basic fears: fear of loss of love or never finding love, fear of death, fear of old age, fear of poverty, fear of criticism. And that's what's being triggered all the time on this internet, right? So in your quiet moments, sometimes you can almost like notice from your own internal dialogue this, not critique, that's one thing, but this kind of harsh criticism, and it doesn't feel good. It has a tone to it. So rather than be horrified by it, I invite you to have a healthy curiosity about, like, wow, that's how I feel about myself. If your creativity is coming from a place of anxiety, because sometimes it's not. There are some folks that are genuinely artsy, that, your body is a human, what do you call it, canvas, and some people want to experience blue and red hair. And again, it's our right to express however we want to. Yet when I'm making a distinction of, if we feel anxious about not being chosen, or trauma with relationships, or being left, a lot of these fears, we may not realize that a lot comes through the back door, as I call it, right? Sometimes you think you're avoiding something, but the very actions that we're taking, or our consumption patterns, are actually bringing closer to us actually the experience that we don't want. And a lot of it we can intuit if we can, with a sense of curiosity, question our internal dialogue, right? Uh, and messaging, right? And cycling and looping thoughts. They have a feel, they have a tone and a feel, right? It's actually a guidance system in the most practical sense, if we tune into it. So for me to pass the mirror sometimes and I have a smile at myself, I feel good about myself, and I'm protective of that. Just like you'd be protective of your child, sending them out into the world or exposing your child on the internet, to the unvetted, to strangers, to people that may be projecting their dissatisfaction with their own lives or their own frustration. You want to protect your child from that, especially in the climate that we're in. So I extend that level of protection to the best of my ability to myself and to my psyche, right? As humans, we want to share our state with folks. You want to share a joint. Shout out to you if you smoke. You want to share your good taste in food. You want to share when you're getting high. You want to share what's sad. Not necessarily because it's something bad or wrong. We're trying to form a connection, right? We're trying to form a connection with folks. I don't know if it's always the healthiest connection, but sometimes that focus on what you don't want, we're so focused on it, we may not realize that we can't see any other possibilities for ourselves because we're so focused, we're so clear about what we don't want. It doesn't occur to us, well, what would I like to experience, right? So that would require us to turn our attention somewhere else, or start to research, or start to vision board, or start to create something else if you don't see it, to create what it is that you want. But just focusing on what we don't want, and this is just my perspective experience. I think a lot of the cat fighting shows or the housewife shows, which is kind of odd because these are not like usually women in their 20s or 30s. Now we see women and mothers and friends in their late 30s and mid 30s and 40s and 50s cat fighting. And we're entertained by it, but I really don't think that we're considering how it comes through the back door to affect us and to drive in. And this is just my contemplations. I feel like we're bringing closer to us that which we don't want by focusing on, or on what we don't want. So, especially with the internet, with all the stuff flying back and forth with the genders and saying what we don't like. Okay, what is it that you do like? Or perhaps our narrative is so much on what we don't like that you may not see the possibility, or maybe you don't realize that it's like you've given up. And I totally get it. I'm not saying I could go there too, but I'm grateful that I still have a mind to question and look at people that consume, eat differently, look at something totally different, because then it will stimulate me to possibilities. Sometimes you don't realize that you can't see possibilities for yourself. And where does that show up? It shows up in you not getting into action around what you say is important to you, right? So check it. It's like, and I'm always fascinated by self actualization, getting into action around what you say is important and what you like to experience in life, and also self sabotage. I've been fascinated by this since a child. Why do people beat up on each other, beat up on their wives, get alcohol, mess your body up? Why would you do that? Like, I'm really curious about that. And so I don't think we're really encouraged to understand the psyche. Now, marketing companies do, religious leaders do, political um, personalities do, but the average person, we're not really encouraged to understand our own psyche. So therefore, things come through the back door. So another example where it shows up is in overeating. It's very pleasurable, right? There's a party in your mouth. Yeah, I don't know if many of us consider that. What's a good example? Red Bull is not a substitute for sleep, right? Or we may not be acknowledging this is like I'm feeling pleasure and comfort, but perhaps I'm using this as a substitute, or this may feel safer, even though I might be destroying my organs and give myself diabetes with too much food, too much sugar at one time. That it's become a substitute for real human safe interaction and affection and care. Well, I might as well settle for the ice cream. I'm going to settle for the food. And we may not notice that a lot of our emotions and our feelings, the way we are emoting, it becomes habitual and it becomes chemical. And so we may not realize that we become dependent. Some of the ways, the dopamine, all the different emotions we're feeling, they have chemical reactions in the body. So we don't realize that a lot of what we're watching and lots of the gossip, and again, I'm no angel, but I would say I'm able to distinguish and step back and observe how this is making me feel. And it's easy to get pulled in and addicted to watching a lot of this stuff. Don't you ever wonder about this stuff, your own tendencies towards self-sabotage or mindless consumption? Do you ever break it down and observe it? Like if you like I notice on these screens. The screens could stimulate me to eat 4 avocados, right? There's something going on there where this is a fantasy box. It's a fantasy box. And all kinds of things are twitching and having chemical responses, the different things you're seeing as you're watching and having other humans mirror behaviors back to you, like us yelling at the screen, do this, don't do that, getting excited, crying. Different emotions are being stimulated as we are watching these boxes. It is absolutely fascinating. So I make the effort to work with myself because who, other than me, who has a vested interest? Who really cares? This is not about sounding pessimistic or victim, like a victim, but who really has a vested interest in the prescription that I need to make me feel good, better, wonderful, right? Without being hooked on their particular products, either their drugs, their alcohol, their cigarettes, their junk food. Who really has a vested interest? Nobody. It's a conflict of interest. So, as I say a lot, I realized from a young age that I'm on my own, not from a victim perspective, though, from a perspective of accountability and responsibility. Whatever could have happened previously in my life, can't take that back. However, I can flip that, not in a way of lying to myself or lying, because you can't really outrun and lie to your subconscious. You can try, but I can flip it to gain meaning and insight and lessons. And now, boom, I'm responsible. This is my perspective. I'm responsible for my life and how it goes. And I will mess up and I'm going to make mistakes. See, it's an old saying. I don't like old sayings, but I'm calling the devil by his name or the fear by its name and release its power over me. Right? So with the hair, yeah, this is not attractive to many people. People might consider you broke, you're broke roster. Some men may think they don't have to have protocol or manners, or may have a sense of entitlement when they approach me, or because I'm a nature girl, that everything is free and I don't care about nice things. We make a lots of assumptions. I understand that. I'm not about to change that. I can't even fight with that. That's too much stress. So it's up to me. It's my responsibility to cultivate a lifestyle that makes me feel better without lying to myself. And so this is one of the ways that I do this. This feels luxurious to me. It feels soft. See, everything's absorbed in it. It feels soft. Yes, it's mine. That makes me feel great. It's mine. I don't have to change myself. I don't have to do, I can play, I can make it into a bouffant. I can wake up with a line that's made. I can shake up my natties. I always wanted that experience to shake up some natties with this little fine hair. And I can do that. I got a little bit of length. I've been cutting, but I got a little bit of length. So that's what I want to experience in my own body. And what time is it? Because it's market day. I'm going to be playing capoeira at today, which is one of my favorite movement practices. Where are y'all at? Show up. Why folks don't get up early? Y'all missing out. But anyway, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. And Friday's a community class. I snatch it up because these folks over here want the community class. I might have to move. But Friday is a community class, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's Friday. And Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. is the Harry Squats workout, Body-Culinary signature workout. If you got a tiny space, you can totally get your body snatched, more so feeling comfortable in your body, burn off that old unhealthy adipose tissue and get stronger inside of your body temple and release a lot of stress. And it's a large coaching component to it. So that's every weekday. You can reach out to me at BODYCULINARY on at bodyculinary.com. In the About section, there should be some links to fill out a Flower Fit application, and you'll need to download the Discord app. If I cannot recognize you, it's a whole queue of people. If I cannot recognize you, I am unapologetic about my safety and feeling comfortable. So if I cannot recognize you in your email or who you are and some crazy avatar, no avatar, I will not respond. I invite women to consider being very conscientious of when you're discussing and asking questions on the internet, being very conscientious of safety, right? And trying to, where you live? Sometimes folks like, why I do not respond. This is 2023. It's like the dark web is on the regular web, right? Being very conscientious and protective to cultivate a space of safety for women, young people, and children, to prioritize it, to just start to think of safety and keeping folks safe. Where, I don't know how celebrities do it. A million people having access to you. I don't know. Maybe I'm not built like that. That doesn't move me. Where folks want to come into your DMs and have a whole conversation with you. It doesn't feel comfortable. Sometimes it feels weird because it's like you don't know these people. And I know people say Facebook family, and I get it, but also we don't know people, and I think it can be very dangerous. So I have to be able to recognize folks. So please fill out the form, also so that you can be kept safe if you're taking any kind of medications or have injuries. But we work out every morning. Every morning. It's deeply therapeutic, and we move firstly because of how it makes you feel. Your form, what you look like, is going to follow your function. You're trying to clear up your skin. You're trying to release. I know people say weight loss. I'll say release excess unhealthy adipose tissue. That's the only weight we ever want to lose, and excess water retention. Your body knows what to do. It's not going to hold on to, or if it's holding on to excess, then likely you are stopping the process of your body releasing that through eating substances masquerading as food and not moving enough. I like to keep things simple. Tia Rano said, very true, chemicals and habitual. Yeah. So sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. I'm going to shake up my natties at the market because I just love the market, honey. I love me talking to some farmers and some plants. Oh, so in June, there's going to be a retreat, another retreat. There are two. I think we're going to be doing them twice a year. This one is going to be very intimate. Whole living foods, fitness, in a beautiful house in Central America near the waterfalls. It's going to be exquisite. It's going to be really, really exquisite. So I think there may be room on that one for 8 people. The retreat that's coming up here, Living Foods and Fitness here in Central America, that one is going to be exciting too. That's coming up. Wait, no. Is that January? Oh, but there's going to be 2 retreats twice a year that are coming up. So feel free to reach out to me, info@body-culinary.com, if you're interested in fitness. If you are mature or younger, doesn't matter what your age is, but cultivating a personal movement practice that can grow old with you, right? Doing some corrective exercises if you're tight or recovering from injuries, or maybe stopped moving. Finding your sweet spot with food so you can get off the whole stroll of dieting. Also, if you have questions about, I get a lot of women that have fine hair that may be interested in trying this on for size. I'm telling you, this is the most restful hairstyle. You can't get any more restful than that. And it's really about ease. We deserve to feel comfortable in our own hair and skin. I deserve to feel comfortable. Again, natural bodies matter over here. The priority is that they're growth and tumor free. If we're constantly, and we're in an environment that's stressful, many of us are grossly underestimating the profound impact that it has on us, that is contributing to fibroids and tumors. The food, the chemicals going near our precious skull and our brain and our nervous system, not having a regular physiological release this is like weighing on us heavily. So heavily. So I think I feel like it's the best kept secret. I say it all the time. So join me in the upper room for some deep therapeutic movements. Sweat it out. It's the one area you can feel really powerful in your life, and you can cultivate a very real foundation that is yours. My movement practice is mine. You got to get yours. You want a very real, not a conceit, but a rock solid esteem. You get that from demonstrating to yourself your ability to safely push through discomfort, through uncomfortable emotions. All of that comes up in movement. It comes up in movement. So we do cardio, flexibility, mobility for your joints, and strength training and resistance. All you need is a tiny space, a mat. You can probably use a lot of things that are around your house initially, your own body weight, and bring those expensive fitness trackers that everybody's paid for that they're not using, so you can learn how to use them. And coaching on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go over accountability tools, right? So this is a business. This is a business. How are you running your business? What do you need this business to do for you the next 10, 20, 30 years down the line? So it's Body Culinary. Thank you for coming to chit chat with me. I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. I invite you to get into action. If you say you value it, are you in action? As one of my coaches said to me, if you want to really know what you're committed to, look at your checkbook, look at what you've been spending your money on, and look at your calendar. We may not put the internet on our calendar, but the time that we spend talking to people, complaining, when you put your attention, where your attention goes, that's how energy flows. That's what's going to be showing up in your life. So wanting a fresh, brand new body, I don't know. I'm just very suspect of the quick fixes because people are not thinking long term. Last thing I'm going to say, right? There's one video I shared in the community section. And again, I'm not telling people what to do. If I was in a burn or a fire, I'm going to alter something. Or if I had a cleft lip, I cannot tell people what to do. But I invite folks to thoroughly investigate, especially my young flowers, because what you will see if you do your research and not just rely on people to tell you anything. If you go to the doctor, the person that's selling you something, that's a conflict of interest. Principal young flowers, if you are asking somebody, well, should I sleep with you? You ask conflict of interest. It's your responsibility to do your research and look at the long-term effects, whether that is a bypass, or gastric bypass, stomach stapling. A lot of people I know have had some of these procedures. When you have adipose tissue, which is a form of waste, this is like sometimes my eyes are different, and you're moving around to other parts of your body. These surgeries are not new. Actually, they're getting cheaper. I don't think women realize that when you accumulate fat or adipose tissue, again, it's going to look off, or it's going to look, how can I say? It's going to have, I don't know, weird. What's the look I'm going to say? It's going to look very interesting the way it comes back in that area and in new areas. So we're trying to manipulate the body like the body is stupid, and it is not. You're not outsmarting the body with the NutraSweet, the Sucralose, the Splenda. Take somebody in the fitness field that's done fitness competitions. You're not outsmarting the body. And when you do sometimes permanent damage to your body, that can have an exacerbated, more compounded effect on your esteem. This is what people are not talking about. So when you're making permanent alterations to your body, there's a lot that you are not banking on. And if you're going to the person that's selling you whatever the procedure, it's a conflict of interest, right? So principal flowers, look at the conflict of interest when somebody is offering you a solution. Litmus, I love litmus tests. Is the solution going to give you 10 more problems? Right? It is our individual responsibility to keep ourselves, principal flowers, my young flowers, and maybe some of my young men out there as well, to keep your precious reproductive organs out of harm's way. It is likely most young people today will not make it out of the 20s without a serious infectious disease, and a lot of this because we're listening to the ill-informed, poor advice of people on the internet and your friends who, if they're ignorant, if they're in a certain kind of space, they may not be the most qualified to take advice from. I'm gonna leave this right here. Create a great day on purpose, and I'll see you soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz.